Welcome back to another episode of Cavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, we're going to be reviewing what is most likely the most anticipated home video release of the year. And honestly, there's really no need for introduction. We're talking about Oppenheimer. This is the Christopher Nolan film that was pretty much the second biggest film of the year this year, next to Barbie, which was also an absolutely uh, just a blast of a movie. I thought that movie was hilarious, but this is kind of the serious film of the year so far. And I was really blown away by this movie, no pun intended. Just the cinematography, the acting, the script. I mean, everything about this movie was stupendous. I mean, just everything was just a knockout of epic proportions. And this is an epic film. This is a 3-hour film. And honestly, it doesn't really feel like 3 hours up until you get to like the final act, I'd say. I think the movie probably goes on for about 15 minutes too long, but that's probably my only complaint about this movie. And if you follow me on TikTok, which I suggest you do, I'll leave my username. It's just Cavanaugh's Corner, just like it is here. But if you follow me there, you'll see that I went through kind of an adventure to get this disc. Universal was kind enough to give me a copy of it on Blu-ray, which I greatly appreciated, because I just really wanted to see what this movie looked like at home. But watching that and then going to this 4K was really a revelation. I had to have this, and I'm so glad I was able to get a copy. Nobody in my area had a copy, and a Walmart a little ways away from me had like 2 copies of this left, and I managed to grab one. This is the Icon edition, which I'm guessing is now sold out. I checked the app right before filming this video, and it looks like even this one is gone. A friend of mine mentioned that scalpers are buying up every copy of this movie that they can, which is just insanity to me. Even the normal editions, not just the special steel books or this edition here, they're just gone. And that's kind of a bummer, but also I'd like to think that a lot of people actually want to own this film, and people that are into physical media kind of have to own this movie. This is a 3-disc set, including a digital code. There's one 4K disc with the film on it. There's a second Blu-ray disc, which is just the movie in standard high definition, and a third disc that has like a little over 3 hours of special features on it. Today, I'm going to be talking about the picture quality on the 4K disc, the audio quality, and the special features as well. And I'm also going to get into the packaging of this guy, because I have some choice words about this packaging. Some good, some not so good. So please stay tuned. And if you enjoy reviews of physical media, please hit that subscribe button down below. It helps me out quite a lot. And follow me on my other social medias as well. I'll leave that link in the description below as well. So just to kind of jump right into it, Oppenheimer here is a 4K digital intermediate. It has HDR10 and a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 audio track. And the we'll get into the audio in a little bit, but Christopher Nolan is definitely a big supporter of physical media. And you know, whenever his movies come out on 4K or Blu-ray or anything like that, he really has full creative control over everything. I mean, he really oversees every little thing in his films, and I think that's awesome. Talking about the picture quality on this, this movie is a revelation. And I didn't expect anything less. Almost every Christopher Nolan film that's on 4K pretty much looks spectacular. I've yet to see one that didn't look more than extremely good. They all look outstanding. And this is really no different. I mean, this is probably number one, honestly, out of all of his films. And quite honestly, it's probably the 4K of the year. There's been a lot of great releases this year, but this is really the one you put on to show off what your TV can do. The HDR10 on this, I wish it had Dolby Vision, but it's just HDR10. The HDR10 is magnificent in a way that is mind-blowing. The colors are extraordinarily accurate. I saw this in IMAX, and seeing it in IMAX and seeing it at home, it is a different experience, but I will say the clarity that you get out of this disc, the picture quality is just through the roof in terms of detail level, color accuracy. The highlights in this disc are blindingly bright. The black levels are perfect. There really is nothing negative to report. It's just an incredible thing to see. Christopher Nolan shoots all of his films on film, and the scenes that are in IMAX on this are just unbelievable looking. The black and white IMAX sequences in particular are truly spectacular. They basically invented a black and white film, an IMAX film negative for this movie. Kodak worked with Christopher Nolan and Hoyt van Hoytema. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. Excuse me if I'm not, but the cinematographer on Oppenheimer, he's worked with Christopher Nolan a few times now, and they worked together to make this pretty much new black and white film. And it really shows on this because the whites in the black and white are various shades, but when there is a bright daytime scene, that black and white looks like nothing I've ever seen. And I've seen quite a few black and white films, even a few on 4K, my favorite being Casablanca, being my favorite black and white film on 4K right now. And The Maltese Falcon, a close second. It's funny, they're both Humphrey Bogart films, but they both look amazing in black and white on 4K. But this is really something else, because now we have that IMAX quality with the black and white, and what you get is just a revelatory experience. It really is like nothing I've ever seen. It's a one and only kind of experience, and to get this on 4K and to see that at home is really a testament to this format and to what technology can do today. It is incredible to see. Trying to explain it is really hard. I don't use screenshots or video clips in my videos here anymore because I got whacked with so many copyright claims that I just decided not to do them anymore. And plus, you're seeing this video in 1080p and trying to see something in 4K HDR and all that. It doesn't work. But I will say, please take my word for it, it is an astounding experience. Now, the color sequences in IMAX are also astounding. They are very, very clear, and it really kind of just looks like something's right in front of you. The depth of field with IMAX is kind of a one-of-a-kind thing, and it really carries over on this disc. As I mentioned earlier, the color palette of this film, even though it is not extraordinarily vivid at times, there are a lot of vivid moments. There are flashes near the beginning of the film of J. Robert Oppenheimer thinking in his head, and they're these abstract kind of like images of particles and spinning lights, and he's seeing things in his head. And those little moments are so incredible looking that you can't help but be immersed in this experience. The atom bomb explosion, the Trinity test, which is kind of like the big culmination of the film near the end of it, is another moment that is really something to look at. The colors in that scene, it taking place at night, the dark nighttime setting, and then this just absolutely monumental atomic explosion is it is kind of one of those things where you just look at it and you can't help but be amazed that they pretty much did that for real. It really is one of these things where you see it and your mouth just drops. The orange yellow colors contrasting with the dark of night is just amazing. It is just an absolutely mind-blowing experience. And yeah, I can't recommend this any higher on picture quality alone. I mentioned earlier that there are other sequences that are not shot in IMAX. The IMAX sequences, the aspect ratio does change, and it does change quite a lot. I think Christopher Nolan shot more of this film in IMAX than any of his previous films, and it shows. The IMAX ratio is basically filling up the entire screen in a 1:78:1 ratio, and the other scenes that are not in that IMAX format are in a 2:35:1, so the black bars, the spacing gets a little bit tighter and wider. But even the scenes that are not in IMAX really look incredible. There is very minor grain in the non-IMAX moments. The IMAX scenes do have also very, very minor grain, but it seems to be completely almost non-existent at times. I had to really walk up to my TV and stare very close to it to even see any sort of artifacts on screen. So if you're not a fan of grain, you're really not going to have any problems with this disc. I think it's just it's a masterpiece of a 4K disc, and I can see myself going back and revisiting this film, if not just to look at it, but to experience it again and again. Just an absolutely astounding job with the picture quality on this. Now, the audio quality is a little different. The audio quality on this is a DTS HD 5.1 master. That's the audio track for this. And that was really good, but this movie kind of has the same kind of issues that a lot of Christopher Nolan films have, and that is the dialogue is way down here, the music is way up here, and the sound effects are like somewhere above the atmosphere, floating near like a satellite somewhere. I do not know why Christopher Nolan mixes his films like this. It is an artistic choice. I don't get it, but it is kind of a hodgepodge if you can make out what the heck is being said at times. Now, it's not a problem throughout, but there are moments where the dialogue is so overshadowed by music and sound effects and atmospheric things that are happening on screen that I had to kind of dial it up. But yeah, much like Tenet, this is another one where you kind of want to turn the subtitles on, strangely enough. It's not that bad as Tenet, but it's not great either. Is it a bad audio track? No. The music sounds incredible. The dialogue, when you can hear it, sounds pretty solid. The sound effects are incredible. The bass on this disc is amazing. And the only issue I had with it is the same kind of issue that I have with a lot of Christopher Nolan films, is that you can't really hear what people are saying all the time, but you're maybe not supposed to hear it. I don't know. You'll have to ask Christopher Nolan that. I can't answer that question. But it's not a bad audio track. I just hope that Christopher Nolan at some point comes around and does some kind of Dolby Atmos or a DTS-X track on one of his movies, because I think then we'll get the true home theater experience. But for a 5.1, it's awesome. It's just that mix. He's at it again with that mix. But anyway, the special features now. The special features on this have their own disc, their own dedicated Blu-ray, and the special features are amazing. The making of documentary that comes with this, called The Story of Our Time, The Making of Oppenheimer, is the best making of documentary on any Christopher Nolan film. Unbelievable. They interviewed a ton of people in the cast, a lot of people in the crew, Christopher Nolan himself, Emma Thomas, his wife, the producer, the composer, the special effects guys, cinematographer, everybody got interviewed for this thing. And the sheer amount of behind-the-scenes footage and insight you get from all these people is just, it's awesome. And it's a little over an hour long. I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes or so. But it's great. It's all-encompassing, and it was spectacularly done. And I kind of hope from here on out we get more special features like that on Nolan's films, but also just on, a lot of these new releases in general. These kind of things are not done as much, except for like really big movies. So hopefully we'll get them for other films as well, but really great job on that. There is a Q&A panel with the cast and crew as well during one of the, I think it was the premiere of the film. I may be wrong there, but that's also really nice. I think it's about a little over half an hour long. And there is two other featurettes. One is called To End All War, Oppenheimer and the Atomic Bomb, which is kind of like the story of Oppenheimer. That also, I think, is about an hour long, so that's really cool. And there's also another featurette about the actual technology that went into filming this movie. It has to do about IMAX working with the crew of this film and the cinematographer and Christopher Nolan especially to create that black and white IMAX film for this movie, and just working with IMAX cameras and film in general. It's really educational, and if you're a big film buff and into that kind of thing, you'll really enjoy that. So there's also a ton of trailers and stuff on here. So overall, there is just so much to love with this 4K set. Again, awesome special features, perfect picture quality, great audio quality if you can stand the sound mix. But there's one thing about this that I am not a fan of, and it's this packaging. This sucks. This packaging is really pretty to look at, but it's all style, no substance. And let me explain to you why. If I open this up, this is the little slip cover that's on here. It's a very wide, thin case, and it's magnetic, which is pretty cool. And it opens up into this black and white shot from the film, which is beautiful. And then it opens up again to this panoramic shot here. And it's just a gorgeous thing. And the discs are here, here, and here. And the discs kind of slide out like so. Now, if you can see, there is a major problem with this. You cannot get the disc out of this set in a way that won't get your fingerprints and possibly damage the disc. Just horrible. That is just such a horrible design. This is one of the few times when I would say you're better off with the standard edition. Very pretty looking. You get the alternate cover art and the nice, magnetic slipcase and all that. You get all that nice stuff, but the fact that you have to literally kind of grab this disc in the completely wrong way is just horrible. That is just absolutely horrible. But I'm glad to just own the movie in 4K in any way, shape, or form. I highly, highly recommend Oppenheimer in 4K in any way you can get it, but maybe avoid this one if you can. I'm not a fan of this packaging at all. If you do want to pick up Oppenheimer, I'll leave a link in the description below that will go to Amazon. If they have it in stock, you can order it on there, because they didn't at the time of me filming this. So But check that link to see if it comes back in stock and pick it up, because you gotta own this movie. Well, that's about gonna do it here on Cavanaugh's Corner. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel below so I can keep bringing you content like this. Until next time, please stay safe and take it easy.